when clients come to us ready to start a web project, we usually have a discussion around the process of discovery. And sometimes clients will come to the table and say, we've already done discovery or we don't need discovery. And we're here to kind of say how from UX and inbound marketing, this discovery phase is absolutely essential to planning your website success from the beginning of a project.
So usually when a client comes in and they're looking to trim their budget a bit, they end up saying that they have already done research and they know what they're looking for, so that's a step that we can just skip right over. But the problem with that is that they've done research from a point of view that isn't necessarily the best point of view to do research from. But when we come in from an external group and we're able to look at the project a little bit more objectively, we can say things that aren't necessarily something that the internal culture is aware of. A lot of times we'll hear things that are definitely more focused on the organization than the external user, and that's a place where we can help to see things that aren't apparent to those who've been too close to the issue for a while.
And discovery and inbound marketing have a very close relationship as well, because inbound marketing really should be ingrained in your web project from the beginning, and you should have your inbound marketer at the decision table listening as the UX designer asks questions about buyer personas and target audiences and figuring out what the point of a site is, instead of waiting until the project's deployed and now thinking, ooh, it's time to market our site. The inbound marketer really should be there from the beginning to help articulate the needs of the marketing team in the website from the beginning, and what strategy should go in terms of what content will be made, where content will live on the site, how content will be able to be ingested by people visiting the site. So it's really important that inbound marketers are part of that discovery phase with the UX designer at the beginning of a project.
Similarly, during the UX portion of discovery, we do a lot of the same type of exercises. Like the user personas, the inbound marketers have buyer personas, and we're able to think a little bit more outside of the box. I like to think of UX as somewhat like the United Nations. We can speak a lot of languages. We know how to speak the language of the client. We know how to speak the language of the user. We know how to speak the language of the developer. And we are able to find a solution that kind of fits all of those needs without trying to compromise any of them. So it's really important that you're able to get that external perspective, whether it's for the marketing of the site or the usability. You want to be able to have a clear plan of action before you get started on anything. So a lot of times when clients do their own research internally, they end up doing focus groups. And the problem with focus groups are that they can be easily swayed. Usually when we do usability testing, we try and talk to people either one-on-one or one-on-two. That's pretty much the maximum size that you want to be having a conversation with. Otherwise, what ends up happening is that the loudest person in the room ends up getting their say. And whether it's the opinion of the masses or not, that's the opinion that normally ends up getting into the project. Another thing that we often hear is that they want to skip discovery so that they can save money and fix problems later. But something that we've found through research and our own experience is that usually about every dollar that you spend on user experience upfront ends up being $100 of return on investment later on down the line. And generally, if you spend just 10% of your project budget on user experience upfront, you will end up doubling your project success metrics.
So another reason that inbound marketing needs to be part of the website project discussion from the beginning is that you want to figure out not only what content you'll be using to draw prospects in, but where it will live on your site. So together, inbound marketers can sit with UX designers and with the potential client and think, where will this blog post live? How will this visitor, convert through the site? Where does a call to action go? And what you want to avoid is having that discussion after the site's already built, because then it's about slapping on, secondhand decisions. It's not about the strategic placement of content that people actually need and are looking for from the beginning. And again, having to adjust the site architecture down the line is going to increase budget, decrease the effectiveness of the original strategy, and it isn't this holistic approach to how are you serving the people who are coming to your site looking for your solution.
That's totally right from the UX point of view as well. If I don't work with Ariel up front and get the information that I need, that solution is always going to be less well thought out than it would have been if we had started from the beginning, knowing where it was that you needed to have these calls to action. Anytime that you have to go back and redo strategy partway through the project, it is always going to cost you more money and be a less effective solution overall.